Okay, I would be lying if I said that I haven't attempted to film this particular episode a few times and had to cut. Um, so today I want to talk about my childhood, quintessentially start at the wall, dive into the beginning, and, show the foundation of what my life was that eventually got me to a point of being a Paralympic champion. My first time filming, I triggered myself and ended up in a very cathartic dumping of feelings on camera, which will never see the light of day. And then the next time I started talking about youth sports and where parents are putting too much pressure on their kids. And so that wasn't something that I'm really wanting to dive into on this episode. So I cut again. And I have promised that these are going to be just unedited, unfiltered me talking to the camera and getting comfortable with just storytelling. So rather than trying to edit stuff out, I just started over. And it's okay to start over. So in the essence of starting, we will venture back here in my hometown where I am currently filming from, Toms River, New Jersey, the home of the 1998 Beasts of the East Little League World Series champions. Yes, that is something that we are known for. Jokingly, they say it must be in the water, our Ciba-Geigy water that has caused a cancer cluster in our town, which, as somebody battling cancer, I can't sit there and go, oh. Anyways, growing up, sports in this town is a thing. It's a culture. And like many of the children in this town, I grew up doing sports. I played basketball before there was a girls' league. Shout out to Murphy's Girls. That came about around the end of my youth basketball career. I played Toms River Little League baseball, not softball, baseball. I was on the all-star team, 10-year-old. Super fun. Soccer. Grew up playing soccer until I had to make the choice between did I want to be an elite level soccer player or an elite level swimmer. Swimming was 4 seasons. At the time, soccer was only 3, so I chose 4 seasons because it seemed like a better idea. I took tennis lessons growing up. I ran cross country and track and threw and did gymnastics in high school. Cheered for a week until I got dropped out of a stunt. Definitely not a fun thing. Don't recommend. But yeah, grew up doing a lot of sports. Swimming was always the thing that I was best at. I was good at soccer too, but I look back now and I'm like, yeah, I was always the best at swimming. Swimming was my thing. Christie the swimmer. And that was so much of who I was as a kid. I loved the sport for the majority of my childhood. I thoroughly loved the sport. But I loved doing other things too. And I think that doing the other sports really benefited me in the pool eventually. I didn't stop swimming or didn't stop doing other sports other than swimming right up until I went away to college. So my senior year of high school, I played varsity soccer and I ran and threw varsity track. So yeah, I was still doing 3 sports right up until going to college. But yeah, my love for the water started at a very early age. So something that you will hear me say a lot is, as the story goes, because something that should be known about my family is that there is this tendency to over-exaggerate accomplishments and stories to make them seem more incredible than they perhaps are. My grandmother, God rest her soul, we lovingly called her Big Fish because her stories were always so outlandish. So you'll hear me say, as the story goes, because when I talk about some things, they're not as I can recall them, but as were told to me. So I won't give the stamp of complete validity to them. So whenever you hear me say, as the story goes, always take everything with a grain of salt, that there's a possibility it wasn't as I'm saying, but it's just as I was told. So as the story goes, I was 18 months old and I was at the swim practice of one of my parents that was coaching. And after practice, I had climbed to the top of the 3-meter diving board and I was wearing a bubble, as 18-month-olds tend to do when they're swimming in a pool. And I had my bubble on and I walked to the edge of the 3-meter diving board. And apparently everyone gasped when they realized where I was and told me, no, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. To which I replied, my board me jump. And after their pleading went unheard by me, I jumped into the water, went under, came up, and when I surfaced, as the story goes, I said, again, and proceeded to climb back up to the 3-meter and jump off again. So it's safe to say that at a very young age, we knew that I did not have fear, as many people would have in a traditional sense. And I also love the water. I started to compete competitively when I was about 3 or 4, and that's because I had an older brother who was swimming on the team, and I wanted to be just like him, so I asked to join the team. And as my coach, Heidi Orpert, has told, as the story goes, that when I was younger, I would swim entire practices butterfly because apparently 2 arms were easier than 1. To this day, I still maintain that in a lot of instances, 2 arms are easier than 1, and you will see me do that at competitions when my brain neurologically can't do contralateral movements in freestyle. I did it at World Championships most recently in September. I swam butterfly in prelims for freestyle, and 2 arms are easier than 1 sometimes. Crazy notion. But yeah, so safe to say that swimming the pool has always been a place that I love, and that I learned a lot about myself through. I learned a lot about myself in that pool, and I look back now as an adult, as a mom, and there's not necessarily things that I would change, but there's definitely things that I did that I recognize not to do anymore. And so lessons learned, which I think is a huge part of life and growth and maturity and development as an athlete. So yeah, for those out there who knew me when I was a younger, more egotistical swimmer, I apologize for being so self-centered. I genuinely did not know how big of an asshole I was. Forgive my language. I should put a parental advisory on this. I didn't know how big of an asshole I was, but now that's not how I move through life. I see athletes who do move that way, and you know, some will say that's their confidence, and everybody is entitled to be the athlete, be the person, be the persona that they want to be. But I'm at a point where I know that I'm good. I know I'm the best, and saying that doesn't make me egotistical. The way that I carry myself through the world does dictate, though, my persona, and I know that I am a lot more humble now than I was in my younger years. But a brain injury will do that to you, you know? But what I will say is, for the parents out there that are coming and listening to this episode, wanting to know, like about, what it takes to be the best. Let your kids be kids. That's what I say. Let your kids be kids. Let your kids find that desire themselves. Don't make it something that they feel like if they don't do, they won't be loved, because that's a really, really hard identity to break. And it's a lot to live up to. So for the parents out there, let your kids be kids. And if they have a talent, nurture it, but don't force it. I am great at killing plants because I do not know how much to water them. So a plant will die if you don't water it enough. It's true. But a plant can also die if you water it too much. So for the parents out there, don't water it too much. Let your kids be kids. If they have talent, it will find its way. Nobody needs to be specializing at sports at 10 years old. Let them do everything. Let them find their way through the world. So, yeah. A lot of what got me to where I am, unfortunately, is based in trauma. And so I don't suggest that for any parents out there to get your kid to be a winner. But yeah, a lot of the reason why I am successful is because of trauma that I have experienced in life. And that's a very sad and unfortunate thing. And I think that there is something to be learned from people who have trauma and how they use their tools that they've had to acquire through dealing with trauma and like just simply surviving life, and they apply that to athletics and are successful. So maybe that's something that we'll dive into later, is sharing the tools of my trauma that help me survive every day, that also help me to be the best in the world. But yeah, maybe that's for another time. I can laugh about it right now because I hear Jamal Hill in my head talking to me about how he thinks that I need to, not needs it, he thinks that it would be beneficial for me to, put together a course for people on how to be successful the CRC way. And so I'm laughing as I'm just blurting stuff to the camera, and it's coming back to me thinking about this conversation that he had with me. A lot of times he knows things that I should be doing before I recognize that I should be doing them. So shout out to Jamal Hill, one of the best teammates that I've ever had. I appreciate you. But yeah, so that's like the gist of my childhood athletics career. It's not, but I know that if I start talking about successes and all of that stuff, that it'll probably bring me into a place that we don't want to get to again. And I'll have to stop the video and lose all this time that I've already put into this fun little share. But yeah, there were a lot of good times in sports for me as a kid. Swimming, I would say that was when I was young. Swimming was fun when I was young. And then it was probably around 11 when it wasn't as fun anymore. And the only thing that I am thankful for is that I still had other sports to do and participate in, because swimming wasn't as fun anymore. And Swimming is fun now. I mean, not particularly this past year. But in adulthood, swimming is fun again because I do it just because I love it. It is my job. It doesn't feel like a job. But yeah, so the biggest takeaway today, if we're going to learn something, the biggest takeaway from today's conversation with this camera is to let kids be kids and make sure sports are fun, because you can have all the success in the world, but if you're not having fun doing it, it's gonna slip away and it's not gonna really mean all that much. So yeah, but this has been fun, and yeah, I'm gonna go.